Viewers, we have some breaking news now coming in connection to the Bangladesh. The Bangladesh Nationalist Party has now been officially confirmed to win the election by a landslide margin. Election Commission Senior Secretary Akhtar Ahmed announced the results, confirming the scale of the BNP's majority. Official figures show the BNP-led alliance captured 212 seats, compared with 77 seats won by the Islamist-led Jamaat-e-Islami alliance. Voter turnout reached 59% nationwide. Alongside the parliamentary vote, a referendum on a sweeping democratic charter was also held. The proposed reforms were endorsed by 60% of voters, signaling public backing for broader political changes. Shruti Das Gupta is there with us. She is an international affairs analyst, joins us from New Delhi. Shruti, thanks very much for joining me. It's confirmed BNP has won the election. It's gotten a 2/3 majority along with its allies. But let's also talk about Jamaat-e-Islami, which along with its allies had 77 seats. How do you think Jamaat's resurgence is going to shape Bangladesh polity and its secular structure?
Well, the secular word no longer exists now as part of the, the Bangladeshi constitution, because the first thing Yunus, despite not having the power to do so, the first thing Muhammad Yunus did was take out secular from the constitution of Bangladesh. So that was already a mute question. He was very pro-Islamists, Muslims both. And he has said that 90% of this nation is Muslim. So I don't understand why the word secular needs to be contained in the constitution. And that has now found backing, although not really. As you have just pointed out, 60% voter turnout. And out of those 60%, only 60-some% have voted for accepting of this new 84-point referendum, which puts the actual number of people backing the changes in constitution to less than 50%. But they're not going to, of course, put that figure out for the world. They're going to say that 60% plus voters voted for the changes, and so they're going to incorporate it. Jamaat as such is bad news for Bangladesh, because they have always focused on their Islamic identity. They want, in fact, their leader put out an ex-post that he had to retract, where he compared working women to prostitutes. So that is an idea that you should get on how Jamaat-e-Islami in the politics would then continue forth. They would be very Sharia aligned, they would be very hardliner and fundamentalist, and they would continue to, this is the fear that most nations around the world have now, that with the amnesty provided by political presence, they are going to now continue to radicalize the new Bangladesh, as the 2026 charter would now have it, and try and decouple Bangladesh from its Indic related identity. So they're trying to form anti-India axis and and would try and foment anti-India, anti-minority sentiments within the nation. If you see the regions that Jamaat-e-Islami have won in, most of it borders West Bengal, and that is worrying a lot of Indian analysts like myself, because that means that there are strongholds where brainwashed, very radical elements reside in majority, happen and have sympathy with those particular identities and mindsets that the Jamaat-e-Islami propagates, shows that they are very close to the Indian border, and those Indian borders happen to be very, very porous. With West Bengal elections coming forth within this year, most of India's analysts are panicking what this really means for us in the future. Now, Jamaat-e-Islami is also the group that was part of the Razakars that perpetrated unaccountable violence, rape, pillage, murder, loot of all order during the 1971 order. They are so pro-Pakistan and their Islamic identity that they refuse to have anything to do with the natural identity of the people of Bangladesh. So them getting this kind of vote and political presence is, of course, going back in time kind of era for Bangladesh. They are pulling back away from their identity as a secular state, a place where minorities could also flourish, a place that had good relationship with all its neighbors, was able to do a good balancing act, India and China both, as well as Pakistan. From that, it is on a path which is headlong towards fundamentalism, to pro-Pakistanism, and this is the most dangerous time in the world for Pakistan and fundamentalism and Pakistan-related terrorism to find root there. We have Hafiz Saeed making statements in October of 2025 that the next attack from India will be planned from Bangladesh. That itself should tell you why palpitations are on the high.
All right, sure. Shruti, let's also discuss the voter turnout. 59% is a rather good turnout for Bangladesh. What do you think has compelled the voters to really come out and vote? 3.5% were in fact first-time voters. 8 lakh expatriates have also cast their ballots through IT-based systems. Do you think it's because of the suppression in the previous regimes that the voters now found a chance to come out and exercise their ballots, or what other reasons could have contributed?
I think the women voters were compelled to come out and vote. They're generally very blasé about going through their daily lives, and election day is just a blip in their lives. But I think the women voters were part of the reason why BNP has won with such a landslide victory, because of the statements made by Jamaat-e-Islami ensured that people came out and voted against that statement, if not for BNP. The other part is that the first-time voters that you said, that the student-led revolution has inspired a lot of first-time voters to come out and participate in the democratic process. So that is why we've seen a higher turnout ratio as well. The 40% turnout in the earlier 2024 election, where Sheikh Hasina claimed victory, was probably incumbency level voter turnout, where they felt that she's going to win any which way, whether I cast my vote or not. So that is a sentiment that people generally harbor when they feel their voter franchise does not really matter much. But here, the threat was very real. If they wanted their voice heard, whether as an opposition to what the Jamaat-e-Islami are saying, or whether in support of a BNP, at least, which is a better option between the devil and the deep blue sea. So BNP is the better option. So they have gone forth and voted for BNP. So the voter turnout actually shows that people at least wanted to be heard and wanted to ensure that Jamaat-e-Islami doesn't hold more power. So the chicken neck area and the other areas that we speak of have gone to BNP, which is a very good news in one way for India, and that shows that a larger section of people, especially minority regions, if you see Chattogram area and all of that entire Cox's Bazar in that area, they've all gone to BNP. So the minorities have put their vote forth for BNP and asking for protection, because they realize that under Jamaat-e-Islami stronghold, they will not find that kind of protection from violence, pre-poll violence that we saw, even post the student revolution violence that we witnessed. So they are having hope that by showing up and voting for a party that says we will protect all religions, at least even if the secular word does not exist in their constitution anymore, there will be equality for them.
All right, and how do you see the fact that 60% have also voted in the referendum for a democracy? How much do you think that's going to allow for direct US involvement or interference or intervention, whatever you call it, with
that
Bangladesh?
84-point referendum, I don't even think the people that voted for them even knew 10 of those points. So let's not talk about 84 points. So you can, that in itself is a mockery of the change that the Yunus government wanted. There are some positive parts, like splitting the house into two, like limiting the terms of the prime minister, like ensuring that there is the executive body, that is the judicial body, and the executive bodies have oversight and not direct control under the parliamentary bodies. So there are some good parts of it, but the sneaky parts are that before elections, there will be an external monitoring. That means 6 months before, the elected government has to decouple, and the external power is going to then regulate and monitor how the elections are going to be held. I understand that Bangladesh is not new to referendums, but this one, it has more points that goes against them rather than for them. And for me, it feels where they've kind of they've diluted the 1971 liberation war. They've kind of decoupled from their Bengali identity. They don't want to be called that. They want to be called Bangladeshi. I think the people don't even know what they have voted for. And when this kind of thing comes into play, that means that external entities are going to continue to interfere in internal politics of Bangladesh, that makes Bangladesh fair game for all future elections where nations via lobbying, via external monitoring committees are going to put pressure on how this entire story of the new Bangladesh goes forth.
Shruti, thanks very much for your comments. Viewers, let's move on and tell you some more details as far as the results are concerned. Residents of Dhaka are expressing optimism following the Bangladesh